Hi everybody, I'm Kirsty Meakin from Neo Nails. In this video we are going to do something that's a little bit themed but a little bit not.
So she's not going to do anything at all then?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do this like it's kind of like a flat bubble rose. It's a flatter version, more wearable, and we are going to do a bunny. So it's slightly Easter themed, but we're also going to do a daffodil for spring. So it is slightly
themed, but not.
Themed, but you don't have to. You can do any flowers. I just want to show you the technique. It's about the technique more than anything. So let's crack on. So we've got Andrea. She has got these nails on. Do you remember these nails? If you have not seen the video for these nails, then you need to check that out. So people wanted to know how this was going to wear up. So if we have a look at it, it's not too bad. A little bit grubby. We've got a little bit of breakage here on the little leaf shapes that I did with the gel, but the actual flowers have really stood up quite well. There's a few little bits that have, cracked a little bit, but I'm actually surprised of how well it's stood up, because it's not like you don't do nothing, is it really?
No.
You're
not to work.
Yeah, you've been working, do your normal day-to-day things.
Yeah,
and
washing the dishes.
Yeah, it's lasted really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. So we're going to take this design off and completely change everything. So I'm going to start to take off the stones, which they've stayed on really well. How long's it been, Andrea?
Nearly 5 weeks.
Wow. That's pretty good going, that is. Mm-hmm.
And I have knocked them a few times because I thought, oh, but my stones have gone, and I've looked and they haven't.
Good. I think people think that ladies that have these kind of nails don't do a thing.
I hear it every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm at work, they say, well, how do you do any work with them nails? And I thought, oh.
What do you think
so
I'm doing
I use
here?
my feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you not write with your feet?
I could do everything with my feet.
You can wipe your bum with your feet.
Yeah.
Now, that would be a talent.
That is one of the most common questions.
And how rude as well.
Yeah.
How do you wipe your arse?
I know, yes, if you would. How do you, can I just ask, how do you wipe your bottom?
With lots of tissue.
And I think, well, I use toilet paper like everybody else.
Yeah.
I have servants for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be a job.
Yeah.
I would say
I could imagine.
it used to be a job.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
No way.
It was a job. Wiping, honestly, I'm not joking.
I can imagine.
Especially
No.
for royalty
Yeah.
and for noblemen, they would have somebody who specifically wiped their backside.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So if you ever
that.
say you've got a job ever again,
You haven't.
I definitely haven't. No. What look would we say that is? It's like antique, kind of aged.
What is it they call it now when it's
Derelict.
Shabby chic, like a bit rustic.
Yeah.
derelict.
So I'm going to go over with my e-file to remove gel polish and also just thin out the product where we're going to rebalance and infill. I'm always moving to reduce the heat. So I'm thinning out that lifted area, but I'm not touching the natural nail. We're going to do this over all of the nails. So I'm going to push back Andrea's cuticles. He just releases that from the nail plate, sorry, not the nail bed, that would just be a bit weird. So from the nail plate, and then I'm going to go over with the electric file with my ball bit, just to get rid of any non-living tissue from around that cuticle. You don't have to use an e-file. You could do a similar thing with a hand file, and I'll show you on one of the nails. Doing this more for speed. So you can see that just exfoliates any non-living tissue from around the skin, and also takes off any non-living tissue on the natural nail. When I get a new file, you need to score those edges because we do not want to cut Andrea. You know that Andrea has super thin skin.
Yes.
So I've got a 240 grit file, and I'm going to blend in that acrylic and also prep that natural nail. So it's a soft file, it's not going to cause any damage. If you filed in one place for too long, yes, you would start to eat into the natural nail, but you've got to be very careful where you're placing that file and the angles of the file as well. So if I couldn't use the electric file, what I would do with this file is butt it straight up to that cuticle area like this. So you can see the angle. I'm basically just touching it with this much of the file and angling it really into those folds so I can remove any non-living tissue that's still attached to the nail. And then I'd use everything else a little bit flatter now. You don't want to keep going over at that angle because you will dig into the natural nail. So I find the electric file a little bit quicker and just a little bit easier, I suppose. But you'll always need to go in with your hand file just to perfect and to get rid of any lifting patches. Don't try to hide any lifting patches with more acrylic, because that lifting patch will keep lifting and you'll end up with a pocket of separation between the acrylic and the natural nail. So the nail will become more fragile. So because I know I've gone round the cuticle, I don't have to concentrate by going round the cuticle now. I can just whip across the natural nail and start to blend in the acrylic to make it more seamless. So it's ready for new acrylic to go on top of.
Somebody commented actually the other day about lifting.
Yeah.
And she said she has a few clients, but one of them always complains about lifting. Nobody else does. And she doesn't know why that person complains about lifting. Is there any advice you can give?
Well, everybody's different. Everybody's nail plate is different. If she struggles with lifting, she could use the acid-based primer if she's not using that already. If she's using that and she's still getting lifting, maybe she's applying too much of the acid-based primer. Maybe that client has got naturally oily nail plate that can interfere. So maybe she needs to dehydrate twice on that client. She could try that. But it could be down to what that client actually does with her hands, you know, what kind of job that she has. You know, is she a hairdresser in water all day? Is she a lifeguard in water all day? That's much more exciting shop.
Yeah.
Speaking of lifeguards, did you know Baywatch is on Netflix now? Oh my god, I lost it.
What, the old Baywatch?
Like the Baywatch.
No.
Yes.
Oh my god, what, from the beginning?
Yes.
No
I watched
way!
the pilot the other day.
Oh my
And I
god!
watched
I
the
need to
intro
watch
about
it.
4 times just because I love it.
Some people. I'm gonna wipe over with gel residue wipe off solution now. So I've dusted over, but I want to make sure I get rid of every last bit of dust. This is also going to clean everything up as well. The burn still has not gone.
What did you do that
It's a
on?
double burn. Burnt it one day and burnt it the next day on top of it. Nice.
On what?
One on the curling tongue, doing Alicia's hair,
Yeah,
and the other one on the cooker.
yeah.
Yes, I
I was going to
cook.
say, that's where I always get myself on the cooker.
So I vowed never to cook again. So I'm going to dehydrate now using the dehydrator. Yeah, so you can double dehydrate. You can double up if you have problems with lifting. And then we're going to use the acid-based primer. Now you do not want to get this on top of the acrylic. If you get it on top of the acrylic, you run the risk of the acrylic discolouring. So you want it just on the natural nail. So some of you might think, oh well, my acrylic's gone a bit yellow. I mean, obviously I'm just talking about this brand, you know, Neo's brand. If it goes yellow, then it could be because you put too much of the acid-based primer on, or, you know, got it onto the acrylic. So you just want it to sit nice on the natural nail. So we're going to fill those in now. We use natural beige.
What else would you use?
I think we did use natural beige.
I would imagine.
Other colours are available. Right, so I'm going to tap, go to each side, pull down, and pull down, and then we're going to pull down, slide over the top of the acrylic that's already there. We are connecting the acrylics together. And what you need to do at this point is just check your apex. Have you put your apex back in the right place? If you want to keep that structure. Cool. So we're going to do all the nails. I do point the finger down. That just helps me because it draws the acrylic away from the cuticle. If you flood the cuticle, it's really difficult to get it out and get it nice and crisp. Make sure you've really shaped the brush. So as I clean the brush, I should reshape it so I can slide in, get those neat edges. Just going to get another bead and just connect those a little bit better. Only a very small bead. That's it. So apex is back in place. With this one, I'm going to just blend down. So I've got to be more careful with this one because I don't want to just bring all that product down onto the design. Even though I am going to recover this nail and you won't necessarily see this design. But at a later stage, Andrea might want to revive that design again. You might want that showing. So, and I don't know what the future holds. So, I have no crystal ball. She might say, oh, I want to show that one off again. And we could, if we don't cover it in acrylic, we can show it off again. Because it is fairly nice.
Was that one used to be on the telly? Septic Peg wanted.
Oh, yeah. You notice as I put this on as well, I pinch away the skin from the sides. Doing that allows me to have a little bit more room. I can really see the sides. Allows me to get it nice and neat. Bring that down, blend it over. And I'm checking all the time. Checking the apex. Is everything in the right place? Pick up another bead. See how my brush is upright to get a smaller bead. When I went into the powder, my brush was more upright because I wanted a smaller bead. So I can see on this bit, if you look here, when I'm looking, some of you might think that looks okay, but when it comes into focus, you will see, so it's too thin here. There's a slight little dip there. So what I'm going to do is put another bead on. So this is what I'm checking all the time. I've bled out the back of my brush because I don't want this brush to force any more liquid into that bead. I want it to sort of stay where it is until I boss it about and move it around. And I can just add a little bit of strength there with that small bead. And sometimes it's those little bits that make your nails last longer. You miss those things, then you could really cause service breakdown, and you will have a little hairline fracture maybe, and somebody could knock the nail and then they lose their nail.
And it's only as strong as the weakest point.
Yeah. I'm going to straighten up the sides, so if you've got any dropping, so it's dropped a little bit, so we'll file off a little bit of that side, but not too much that it makes the nail, unsafe, because we want the structure there. It needs to be structurally sound, but no hard hats are required. Am I
Yeah.
a little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit. Oh, we haven't got your thing. I thought you a bit your cushion.
Oh, yeah.
Thought you
I
were a
moved
bit-
it, didn't I, when we were talking?
Do you know what? I thought
Sorry.
something wasn't quite.
Did you think, oh God, it's a bit uncomfy this?
just thought
Kirsty's
something-
bullying me hand around here.
Just felt different.
So let's straighten up those sides. So by straightening up them sides, you sort of rebalance the shape, but you don't want to take off too much of the C-curve. Sorry, Andrea, I'll break your finger.
It's all right. There's very dislocation never hit anybody.
Because the more we file off here, the more of the structure we'll lose as well. So you can only do that a few times until it actually starts to lose its structure. That's why I only do 3 fills and then a new set is required. I do not fill upon fill upon fill. That's just the way I do it. I think that you lose the shape. I just think it never looks as nice. It's never as strong. I know
It
there
won't
is-
be as pinched, will it? As it
No.
grows out, it'll grow wider and wider.
Yeah, so I just think you'll never get that, sleek look again. So I always advise my clients that they can have 3 fills the most. I mean, some people will just have 2 fills and have a full set. It depends if your name's Faye. But yeah, so, you know, I've never gone over 3 fills.
And some people get annoyed at that.
Some, I think, I don't get annoyed with
No, I
it.
mean,
It doesn't
like,
bother me
like,
at all.
let's say back in the day when you were doing a lot of clients.
Do you know what? Not really, because I re-educated them and explained why. And they saw the benefit of doing that and didn't really have a problem with it. So
Yeah.
I think as long as you explain to your clients.
Sometimes, though, you know you need a new set, don't you?
Yeah.
You feel yourself.
I think so, definitely, because my other nails, I filled them 3 times. And I just got to the point where I was like, they're just so wide and they just look bulky and
they
they
don't
just
look right.
and they don't feel right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I need to get these off.
Yeah.
So now they're all filed, I'm going to buff, make them nice and smooth. So I'm going to wipe over with gel residue wipe-off solution. I don't need to use acetone because I don't want to melt this top layer too much, because we're going to put gel polish on top. And I want it to really adhere. And sometimes if the nail is too smooth, the gel polish will peel. And we don't want that.